Hi folks, we want to talk today about why you don't want to put your money in a 401k or an IRA or any kind of qualified account for that fact. First of all, draw your attention to this Time Magazine article. It was in October 2009 called Why It's Time to Retire the 401k. They addressed some of these issues that I'm going to bring up. So let's just delve right into it and talk about the flaws of the 401k. And you'll see that I'm not just going to give you my opinion, but we're going to use some hard numbers and history to do the proving for you. So first of all, the number one reason that you want to stay away from a 401k is market risk. Now, Time addresses this in a really good fashion. Imagine working 40 years of your life. You're looking forward to retirement. It's right around the corner. You're dreaming of sandy white beaches and crystal clear ocean water. And 2 years before you retire, the market turns around and tanks. And your dreams go up in smoke. Okay? Is that any way to plan your life on the whims of the stock market? I mean, talk about totally out of your control. And guys, you know, market risk is huge. If you look around today, just do a search today. It's not hard to find articles from credible sources. Time Magazine, top 10 signs of the coming stock market crash in 2015. There's a lot of disturbing news out there that's pointing towards a crash. But regardless, we know that it is going to come about. It's just a fact, and these accounts are subject to that risk. The other huge factor is it's taxable. Now, that may not seem too much of a big deal to you since we're used to paying taxes, but the fact is you're paying taxes on the harvest as opposed to the seed. So let me give you a hypothetical situation here, and then we'll show you some real situations. We're going to talk about a 31-year-old who is contributing $500 a month or $6,000 a year into an IRA or a 401k. And we're going to make a couple assumptions that their money is earning 7.5% interest, and they are in a 33 1/3% percent tax bracket. Okay. Now, the reason they're in a qualified account is for the tax break, right? And so in this case, it's $2,000 a year. This is known as instant gratification. All right. This is why this plan was designed. It is an IRA or IRS design plan, by the way. That should give you a little bit of a tip-off. So let's just say you've reached 65 years old at that point, and you have saved, thanks to your instant gratification, $68,000, which sounds pretty darn good, right, over the course of those 34 years. Now, at this point also, your account has grown to $1 million. And we're going to stick with our same assumption. The money continues to grow at the same pace, 7.5%, and you're still in a 33 1/3% tax bracket. Now, traditional wisdom tells us that you're going to be in a lower tax bracket, but there are a couple things to keep in mind. One, that the kids are gone and the house is paid off, right? If I can spell it. And those are your two best tax breaks, and they're gone in retirement, but you've got a third one to consider. Taxes are only going up, right? We know the government is up to debt in their eyeballs. Taxes are not going down in the future, folks. There's not a person alive that thinks that for a minute. So what is the tax break going to be when you retire? We know that it's going to be higher than it is today. So 33 1/3%, the same tax bracket, is a fair assumption to make. In fact, it may be a generous assumption to make. All right, so at that point, you're going to live off interest only, which is not too shabby, right? $75,000 a year, you never have to touch the principal. However, most folks don't realize that they have a partner in retirement, a silent partner. Well, not too silent. They're going to make their voice heard to you real quick. You're in bed with the IRS, folks. And your tax bills come due. And guess how much it's going to be? Well, 25 grand a year. All right. Now, when you turn 85 years old, you will have paid $500,000 in taxes. All right, now you did it. Remember that instant gratification, $2,000 a year. You did it to save a whopping $2,000, $68,000 over the course of the year, and yet you ended up paying $500,000 in taxes later. But you know what? You might not even be done, because you may end up having to pay estate taxes on that too. So we really got one too many zeros in there, didn't I? So we really got hoodooed, folks. These plans are horrible plans. Again, they're designed by the IRS. They're designed by to increase taxes into the federal government. So these two reasons alone ought to make everybody drop that 401k and look for another alternative. But there's more reasons than that. Third reason is, what if you die? Suppose you're only a couple years into your 401k, your retirement, and you kick the bucket a little early. What happens to your family? You've left them in a bind. Okay, fourth reason is, what if you get sick? All right, now that doesn't worry a lot of folks, because they think, what about the ACA? We've got the ACA to cover us now, right? And this is correct. We have more people insured than ever. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is the number one reason folks go bankrupt is due to medical reasons. Now, how can that be? Well, 80% of them, folks, what'd I do? 80% of them had health insurance, and they still went bankrupt. How can that be? Why? Because simply you're out of work. Suppose you have a major illness and you lose time off of work, or suppose your spouse has to take care of you, or possibly you seek other treatment, or you have to travel. Folks, when you're sick, or your family is sick, your loved ones are sick, you will do whatever you can to make them well. And so folks will go bankrupt, primarily, number one reason, due to medical reasons, due to an illness. And here's the other thing you need to keep in mind, the other stat. 7 out of 10 Americans are going to have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer by age 65. Now that's a little disturbing, but this is a real possibility here, and your 401k doesn't help you at all. All right, the fifth reason. Time Magazine addresses this. The plans underperform. And you're going to see how poorly they underperform in just a minute. I'm going to show you the history of them. They give a lot of glowing performances. 401ks are going to tell you you're going to retire with $1 quadrillion. And folks, it just doesn't happen. And you'll see that in just a second. And the sixth reason, we'll just call it the snowball effect. It takes a long time to build up a head of steam. All right, that snowball starts off pretty small for a long period of time, and it takes a very long time until it really makes an impact. Now, this alone ought to be enough reasons for you right here to look for an alternative. But I've got a plan, a very wonderful plan, that is going to eliminate all 5 of these. And one right here, a specialty group, qualifies for number 6 that can eliminate all the problems. So we'll talk about those later on, but let's look at a video to explain to you the best 3 minutes. This is going to be the best 3 minutes on YouTube. It's going to show you an alternative form of investing or planning for retirement. It's called Red Line, Blue Line. I wanted to give you a quick snapshot on what it is that we're doing. This is a snapshot of our program, Red Line, Blue Line. Not knowing anything about anything, if you had to choose one of these 2 lines to put your money on, would you choose the red line or the blue line? The blue line, of course, right? Because it's more money. If you look closer, what you realize, too, is that it never goes down. It only goes up. Never go backwards. Ins are locked in. But, you know, the story gets better than that. In addition, that $211,000 is income tax free. The red line is the Standard & Poor's 500 index. That's the stock market, 500 of the largest stocks in America. And if you look at this 165, about 95% of mutual funds do not outperform the Standard & Poor's 500 index, meaning
that most people in mutual funds, 401ks, IRAs, so on, actually had less money than the 165. But we still have to deduct fees because fees didn't come out of this. The average fee is about 3%, can be anywhere between 1.5% to as much as 5%. Many people aren't even aware that they're paying these fees because they're hidden in what looks like a phone book written by a Philadelphia lawyer called a prospectus. But when they examine that, the Los Angeles Times said the average is about 3%. And in this case, on $100,000, that would be about $3,000 a year in expenses that you have to pay, by the way, whether you make money or lose money. And if we just roughed the numbers out and said $3,000 on $100,000 over 15 years, means you'd have to subtract $45,000 out of this number. But we still have to take taxes out. And if you even looked at a 10% or 15%, 20% tax bracket, very conservatively, you're about where you started 15 years earlier. Now, you put up 100% of the money, took 100% of the risk, and ended up about where you started 15 years later. I want you to think about this. The mutual fund company put up zero money, took zero risk, and they made $45,000 in the process. But back to the blue line. That's what we do. $17 trillion today is on the red line in qualified plans. That's $17 trillion with a T. Without anyone spending one additional dollar, don't you think that most people would prefer to be on the blue line? In addition, this comes with all sorts of other benefits. This is net of fees, charges, expenses, and it's also income tax free. So here we have a smarter, more complete alternative to 403b, 401k, IRA, mutual funds, to the stock market, where you don't have the risk. By the way, that $211,000 is guaranteed never to be less than that. It can only go up, never go down. In addition, there's other benefits that come along with it. When you look at the whole package, it's, again, a no-brainer to do that. So that is our product, our concept, our crusade, and it's also our opportunity as well. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on future videos.
Okay, folks. Great little video here. Now let's look at the same thing put another way. We'll use a real example, or a hypothetical example, I guess. A 40-year-old male. It's got $100,000 in the blue side, which is a universal life policy. And this one right here has got a 13% cap, and it's got a floor of 0, so it won't go below 0. The red side has also got $100,000, and it's a 401k, IRA, 403b, or what have you. And so here's how it works. They invested, each side invested $100,000 in 1999, and you had a really good year, 19.53%. And the red side reflected it, had great gains. The blue side, more modest gains because it has a cap on it, so it went up to 113%. But then you had the dot-com bubble, and 9/11 came along. We had 3 bad years, and that money went down to $71,000. On this side, the zeros actually became a support, and it never dropped below $113,000. So there it goes back and forth, up and down, up and down. You might want to note that here it is 10 years later. We've got another pretty severe correction. And after 10 years of investing your money, you've taken a 25% loss, well, almost 27% loss on your money, while the blue side is at 167. So here it goes back and forth, up and down. After 16 years, here's the results. The red side, $167,000. The insurance policy, $303,000, a difference of 182%. Now, check this out. There's two kind of gains here. The average rate of return is if you took all these numbers here and divided it by 16. But the actual rate of return is what your money actually did. So even though these numbers look a little bit higher, the money only grew by 3.28%. The insurance policy was 7.2, more than double. But we're not done. We got to put in fees, right? Fees at 3%, and taxes we put in at 40%, 30 for federal and 10 for state. On the insurance side, we had to deduct fees also. We've got $37,000, but there's no taxes. Bottom line, after 16 years of investing your money, white knuckles as the market goes up and down, you're left to spend $69,527, while the insurance policy has $266,000. Folks, almost a $200,000 difference. Now that is pretty amazing if you ask me. So, and there's other products that we can use as well. There's, we actually have other products that where you can invest. Oh, I want to show the edge, sorry. Let's get rid of that. Sorry, let's try and get that out of my way here. All right, we've got other markets with the Dow Jones Real Estate that's uncapped and a gold index. But right now we're just showing a basic policy right here, and so you understand how the market actually affects things. Now, many of you may be a little stunned that we're talking about life insurance. So, time for another video. We're going to get another expert on here and see what he's got to say. This is Ed Slott, and you're going to like Ed.
Let's switch gears to another way to eliminate huge taxes, life insurance. Just so you know, I say it on every program, I do not sell life insurance. I don't sell stocks, bonds, funds, annuities. I'm a tax advisor and an educator. And as a tax advisor, I'm advising you to take advantage of the single biggest benefit in the tax code, and that is the tax exemption for life insurance. You've heard me talk about the incredible leverage and tax-free benefits of life insurance, mainly for your heirs. And that payoff is big. You turn relatively small amounts of taxable money into a tax-free windfall for your family. They'll end up with millions more than you ever had, all tax-free. It's truly the best tax leverage available under the tax code, but it's actually better than you think, especially if you're thinking, what's in it for me? Anyone thinking that? In these volatile and uncertain times, you need to focus on investments that give you control, options, flexibility, and certainty. And you want to remove both stock market risk and tax risk. And you want a guarantee. And you want it all tax-free. That's a tall order. But you can get all of that with certain kinds of permanent life insurance. Most people think of life insurance as something that pays off after you're dead. That's true. But what if I told you that you could have tax-free access to your life insurance during your lifetime, so you could use it for yourself? You could begin moving large amounts of money from taxable accounts into a tax-free permanent life insurance policy. The money grows tax-free inside the policy. It's harder than ever today to make money on your investments. So the last thing you want to do is share any of your hard-earned gains with the government. You don't have to if those gains are earned within a life insurance policy. If your money's going to grow, it may as well grow tax-free, right? You need to realize that life insurance is an investment, but it's better than your typical investment accounts because it's tax-free. Oh, and one more thing. Life insurance comes with something else that you can never get from the stock market, a guarantee. But how much can you invest? Well, that's up to you and the tax rules. Believe it or not, this is an area where you might want to invest the maximum you can into the policy. If you're approaching retirement or already retired and looking to shelter more of your taxable money into a tax-free vehicle, this might be the place for you. But the mistake most people make at this stage of life is trying to pay the least for the policy. So you might be thinking, how can paying less be a mistake? Everybody wants a good deal because this is an investment, not an expense. If you were saving money in a bank account, would you want to put in the most or the least? Of course you want to put in the most because this is your savings. You should look at permanent life insurance the same way, except that the investment is tax-free. So why would you keep money growing in a taxable account when it can be transferred to a tax-free investment? If you have taxable IRA funds, you can, in effect, convert your IRA to life insurance, paying tax now at low rates on distributions from your IRA and then using that money to fund your life insurance investment. That accomplishes two things. You reduce your future tax exposure in your IRA by taking distributions now, and you build up a tax-free source of retirement funds should you need them. If it turns out that you don't need to tap into your life insurance for retirement income, then the life insurance benefit builds for your family. Also income tax-free, and for most people, it'll be estate tax-free too, depending on the estate tax exemption level. This is truly the best leverage available, and it's all under your control. Once again, I do not sell life insurance, but as a tax advisor, I got to tell you that the tax exemption for life insurance is the single biggest benefit in the tax code. Make it a part of your retirement savings plan and your estate plan. But remember, this area of your life is a little tricky. You must do it the right way to receive all the benefits I'm telling you about. Now is the time to create a plan to rescue your retirement and move your money from accounts that are forever taxed to accounts that are never taxed. It's the taxes.
Okay. It's taxes, folks. So now what we're going to do, if you don't take my word for it and you don't take Ed's word for it, maybe the numbers will prove it to you. So let's actually run a quote here, and let's compare the 401k. And what we're going to have in the 401k, we're going to continue with that illustration we had before. We're going to deposit $100,000 in that account, and we're just going to assume that there's an employee there contributing $200 a month. And you know what? Since it's a 401k, he's got matching funds, and bam, he's got an extra $200 in there. Versus the policy, it's called an IUL. That's the policy we're going to look at, and we're only going to use half the money. We're going to leave the other half in case you need it all to pay your taxes. And because we don't get matching funds, we're going to have half the money on a monthly basis as well. So just so you know where these numbers come from. Now, what we've got to do here is we've got to divide this by 5 years, over a 5-year period, to get the full tax benefits of it. And then we're going to make it a monthly benefit, so or a monthly deposit. It's going to turn out to be $833. Put some spaces on that, and then we're going to add the $200. Okay, just so you know where my numbers are coming from, and this will make sense to you in a second. So now let's just actually run a quote here. Let's see if it kept me logged in or not. All right, so we're actually going to use a 40-year-old. All right, and we've got a standard rate here, so we can do much better for the average person. Could probably do better if they don't have any health issues. Usually will do better. So what we've got is a minimum death benefit. We're going to make this a monthly amount. Get that out of the way. All right, specify the amount. Here we go. Okay, 5 years. We're going to add a row. Come on. All right, we're going to specify this amount. And this will be $200 a month. And it will be from year 6 to age 65. That's how we do that one. And then down here, we're going to find out about income. We're going to solve for income. As you can see here, it should default to ages 66 through maturity. So let's take a look. This will all make sense to you in a second here. All right, so here's what happens. The first 5 years, it's got an extra $50,000 in it, 10 grand extra a year. And then he's back to $200 a month until 65 when he retires. At that point, he's going to end up with $55,099 a year for as long as he lives. Now, notice also that there's going to be a death benefit over here of $453,000. Now, should he have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, depending on the age and severity of when it happens, he will be able to draw, this person could draw up to 90% of this death benefit while they're still alive. It's known as living benefits. So if we go back to our example up here, if we die with an IUL, $453,000, and sick, they could get up to 90% of that. Okay, now, all right, let's go back. Remember our income, $55,099, and we're going to put it back in a calculator here. All right, so what we've got here, we're going to do this illustration, $200 a month. They've got matching funds, 100%. So in the 401k, you've got $400 a month, and they've got a deposit of $100,000. And the rate of return is 3.28%. Fees are 3%. Okay? He's going to retire at 65. So at that point, the account will grow to $227,000. All right, but the income we're going to have from our life insurance policy is $55,099. So let's see what happens. The money lasts 4 years and runs out, but you know what? I made a mistake. I didn't even put taxes in there. We've got to put taxes in here. Here the money runs out in just a few years. All right, so you see the money runs out after they take income, taxes, and fees. It runs out of money in the 3rd year. That's what your 401k does. This is why people end up living off of Social Security when they retire, because that 401k runs out of money. Or else what they do is they cut this back. Instead of $55,000, they're going to cut it back because they're afraid they're going to run out of money, and so they scrimp and they just take a little bit out. So either way, they don't know what to do. Take it out and run out of money, or take a little bit out and hope it lasts you your lifetime. But let's give you a boost here. We'll give you a break. We're going to add we'll do 5.04, which is the mathematical rate of return, and let's see if that helps. We'll knock the fees down to 1%. We'll say you're doing really good. All right, now look here. Now you've got $473,000. Let's see how long your money lasts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 years you run out of money, folks. Let's say you're going to make what we do on the insurance policy, 7.2%. You're going to make the exact same return as that insurance policy. We know it'll never happen, but look, you run out of money at age 75. So this is what you've got with a 401k. It runs out of money. And what you have with a life insurance policy is it never runs out for as long as you live. It's got a death benefit that it goes down in value, so you still have a pretty nice death benefit even while you're drawing income, and then it begins to grow again. So you've got a death benefit, you've got a living benefits on there, and you've got a solid income. So what we've got here is a basic insurance policy. Will cover you on the 5 out of the 6 flaws of the 401k. However, I told you we have a special program here, and this is for business owners. There is a special plan that you can get if you're a business owner. And the reason you have to be a business owner is because it wraps the loan up in where it's tax deductible on the business side, and what you're able to do is overcome this snowball effect by starting on day one with a massive amount of money in there, and it does not cost any additional funds. No, additional cost. So if you're spending $500 a month, $500 a month in your 401k, you can come up with a policy that's got $500 in your IUL, but here's the difference in it. Here's what happens if you're a business owner, and this is huge, folks. We're going to assume this is a 40-year-old again. We're going to do things a little differently. We're going to dump in an annual amount instead of a monthly amount, because this person is going to start off with a giant snowball on the front end. All right, we delete that row. They're going to start off with $200,000 for 5 years. Because they're business, they're going to be able to take put a very large amount of money in over the 5-year period, and let's see what happens. And this is a low estimate too, by the way, folks. We have most owners go a lot larger than this, but it's $1 million over 5 years. And here's what they retire with, $690,000. $93,000. Now suppose you're not a 40-year-old. Let's just see here what difference it'll make if you're a 50-year-old. Is that right here? 50 years old? Okay, let's look what happens if you're a 50-year-old business owner and you dump a lot of money in 5 years and then you never pay another penny. $304,000 tax-free. Tax-free. So if you're a business owner, you can overcome all the objections of the 401k at no additional cost. Now, you may not have the $1 million in there, but you can overcome that snowball effect. And I'll need to talk with you. Most insurance agents aren't aware of this program. Most don't have it and don't know it exists. So if you'd like to know more, contact the person that sent you this video, and we'll be able to show you a phenomenal program if you're a business owner. If you're a regular person contributing to a 401k, we urge you, put your money in something better that's got no market risk, that gives you tax-free money, that has a benefit if you die, it's got a benefit if you're sick, and it will way outperform the S&P. So I hope you've learned something today, and I hope you'll give somebody a call and take action on it, because you know what? There are a lot of folks that are saying that these things are going to happen this year. So don't delay. Thanks for watching.